the beautiful pine. Let's have a look at some of the pine pollen. Look at that. I'll pick some pine and then I'll bring it back and talk about it. So I'm back and I took this poor little branch that had been ripped down, but it's perfect for using the needles and the pollen and for me to talk about with you. But before I talk about the pine, which is smelling so good, it's like Christmas, look, I picked some, these are fir tips, but you can also pick spruce tips and pine tips. They're not needly yet, they're just beautifully soft and you can eat them, they're edible. So you can literally just chomp down on these. They have an unusual flavour. I'd imagine they're a bit of an acquired taste, but they're very refreshing. They've got lots of vitamin C in them, as do all pine needles. So if you think someone needs vitamin C, if they're under a lot of stress or they're fighting off an infection, this would be a lovely addition to their diet. I'd probably make an infusion just because it is quite an acquired taste to chomp down on tips. You could make a syrup with evergreen tips, and that syrup's nice on pancakes and ice cream. You can make it into a sorbet. It's getting to that time of year and sorbets are a lovely thing to be making. But there you go, amazing tip. You see my little blue teapot back there? I've popped the fir tips in to infuse, and we can have a look at the colour of the infusion when it's done. It's smelling just divine here because the lovely essential oils from pine are letting themselves be known. So yeah, pine has lots of essential oils. It's got tannins, resins of course, terpenes. First thing I think about with pine is its brilliant antiseptic nature. Unfortunately there's so many household products like loo cleaners and kitchen cleaners often have a pine scent, so people can link the smell of pine sometimes to that disinfectant smell, but it is a decent disinfectant, lovely to use externally on wounds. It's a very nice antimicrobial, so if someone's got an infection, especially a respiratory infection, because it's also anticatarrhal and an expectorant, it's got a long history of use in bronchitis. It's very good at helping clear things up and out, and I like it for children when they've got a cold. If you boil up some needles and the twigs and pine cones first and then tip that into the bath, because children don't really want to be sharing their bath with these prickly needles, although for me I would just pop it in the bath, but for children make a decoction first. I'm infusing the little tips because they're quite soft, but for the needles they are quite tough, so I would chop them up to increase the surface area and maybe give them a little 10-minute simmer. You'd get a decent infusion, but you're going to get more if you add a bit more heat and time. And as I said about the fir tips, you'll get lots of vitamin C from this plant as well. The needles have lots of vitamin C, so it's a great herb for convalescence, and it's a lovely tonic. If someone's run down, they can take it internally for this warming tonic vitamin hit, but also use it externally. There's a long tradition of putting pine needles and twigs and cones in the bath for people who are really exhausted, physical exhaustion, nervous debility and exhaustion, chronic fatigue. It's a lovely herb that you can use both internally and externally. So yes, it's a stimulant. It can be used in rheumatism and arthritis where it's incredibly warming, and again, use it externally. So nice for sore aching joints and muscles. And I think in a minute I'll maybe talk about the essential oil, because that has lots of obviously it echoes the use of the plant in a more concentrated manner. So I think we've been brewing for long enough because I've been talking for a few minutes. So we have a pour. See what colour it's come out. Those beautiful green tips. Let's have a look. The camera's not really picking up quite how green it is. It's a bit better. It's sort of a lovely pale yellow, greeny colour. Let me have a sniff. It's got a lovely, very gentle, resiny, piney smell. Beautiful. So yeah, you drink this as a source of vitamin C and electrolytes. Great for diarrhea. As a tonic, just a beautiful light drink to have. Very refreshing. And obviously, because I can smell that smell, this seems like a good. I can smell the essential oils. They'll be evaporating off. So it's a good point to talk about the essential oils. The pharmaceutical companies use them a lot, and they put them in your cough medicines, your cold medicines, in sort of vaporizers, and, as I said earlier, in products, cleaning products. The essential oil is really high in pine, in monoterpenes, sometimes up to about 90%. So you've got terpenes like your alpha and beta pinene, limonene, which might explain why it's a nice herb for the nervous system as well. The oil is, of course, very antiseptic, very antimicrobial, so you can use it at home. That's a better look at the colour. Use it at home for cleaning. If you want to use it to replace household cleaners if you're making that move, or if someone's very allergic, sometimes it's nice to clean with essential oils. Antiviral, you can use it as a deodorant. If someone's looking for a natural deodorant, you can include pine. That would work well with cypress essential oils. As an inhalation, it's beautiful as an expectorant, so you can use it during your coughs and colds. For sinusitis, that's a nice oil. You can use it as an inhalation and then diluted and blended as a beautiful rub for the sinuses. Nothing better than a facial massage when you've got sinusitis or a headache. A lot of the herbs which you use, a lot of the oils which you use for sinusitis are actually very useful for people with stubborn headaches. So that's something to consider if you're struggling with headaches. And like the herb, the essential oils are lovely for arthritis, rheumatism, because it stimulates blood flow to the skin. It's a rubefacient, so it's beautiful in the bath for that, for soaking, or in muscle rubs, creams, ointments to rub onto your muscles. A really useful essential oil. And then finally, I think I'm going to try and collect some pollen. I'll try and get some onto a sheet of paper for you to have a look at the amazing colour, and we can talk about pine pollen, which seems to be quite trendy at the moment. Can you see that beautiful golden powder? It is so satisfying collecting pine pollen. Unfortunately, most of the pollen has come out of this poor little branch, I think, when it fell from the tree. But I did take that video, I think, when I was out at the tree, just showing how it billows out. So to collect it out in the wild, if you take along something like a brown paper bag, pop it over the branch and just shake the pollen in. And if you catch a tree at the right moment, you'll get lots and lots. But as with any herbal harvesting, don't take too much from one spot, go from tree to tree and harvest responsibly. Online, well, they sell lots of pine pollen online, along with many claims for what it will cure. Just be careful with your sources of information. Historically, when we look at how herbalists have been using it for thousands of years, it's considered an anti-inflammatory and a nice tonic for the immune system. And I think trials have confirmed the anti-inflammatory action, and I'm sure that there will be tests supporting the immune action as well. And then, as I say, you'll find lots of other information online, but just be careful. Check out where they've got their information from, and just have a look for information based on the long traditional uses of the pollen, because that will give you a good indication of what it will actually be good for. But I think of it as anti-inflammatory and immune enhancing, and a lovely tonic food. So you can just sprinkle the pollen onto anything you're eating. You can put it in recipes. You can make a tincture out of it, and a tincture is a nice way to quickly preserve it once you've collected it, I think. So there we go, pine pollen and our beautiful pine. a lovely antiseptic, anti-catarrhal, warming, stimulating but nourishing, glorious tree that we should make use of. Pine.